Good morning, everyone. We have a great show for you here today. I'm Ryan Howe, founder of Summit Business Guides, where I help businesses with strategic and succession planning so they can grow their businesses faster than they ever thought possible. You can learn more at summitbusinessguides.com. So this show is all about learning about our guest leadership journeys. And joining us today is Karalee Bradshaw, the executive director for COVE. Thanks for joining me.
Good morning.
Yeah, and before we get started, though, I just want to get a couple announcements out. And I promise, folks, this is not going to be a thing where I always do announcements to start. But a couple of things. We do have the fall celebration going on today at Scottville. So if you get a chance, festivities, they're dropping a bunch of rubber ducks into the river at 11. But the festivities in the downtown area start at noon, so do your best to make an effort out there. It'll be a good time. A lot of stuff for the family. And then just one thing for the redhead, which is my wife. It was her birthday yesterday, so if anybody happens to see her, a little shout out to the redhead.
Happy birthday!
There we go. Yeah, I think she's 29. Again.
Yeah.
So with that, enough with that. So Karalee, again, thanks for joining me today. Let's make sure this is like third time I've run into you this week.
It's been a busy week.
Yeah, you guys were up for an annual award at the what was that, for the Chamber of Commerce event?
Yeah, the Community Service Award.
Yeah, no, that was as always. It's always great to get recognized for those things, and I'm glad you had an opportunity to highlight and showcase the work you do. Which, for those who don't know what COVE is, if you give us a little bit, we'll come back to a little bit more about the details later, but if you give a overview.
Yeah, COVE is Communities Overcoming Violent Encounters, and we provide services for both domestic violence and sexual assault victims. And
just where do you help out? Like, what's the area?
We service Mason, Lake, Oceana, and Manistee counties.
Okay, so it's the main four counties there. Okay, great. And again, that's the work you do there is so important, and we'll get a chance to talk a little bit more about that later. And maybe and again, where it's similar services I've had experience with folks that worked with me and for me, and so that's one of the reasons. Like, you guys are. When I first ran into Chelsea, you get a chance to talk about her, where I was like, yes, I will come help in any way that I can, because the work you do is so important. So with that, though, where are you from?
I'm from Scottville.
Okay, you're from Scottville.
Oh, yeah. So I grew up on Gordon Road.
Oh, wow.
So
you're definitely you're in Out County. You're
oh yeah, definitely in Out County. Lived next to an old schoolhouse, so that was way fun.
Great. So going to school out at Scottville, again, I was in Custer. I was on, and so I was on the inaugural, basically the co-ed. Well, I was out there. Well, technically, I was in the village of Custer, so I was still kind of, I was, as some of the Out County folks, I was still,
True.
I was,
You're a city folk.
I was city folk at that point. But so I was on the inaugural co-ed football thing that they had there, and when I went over to Scottville, it was really interesting. Just the change in the dynamic. Bunch of good folks across the board. So what was your experience as far as going to school there?
Oh, I love Scottville School. The teachers there, it was wonderful. Smaller classrooms. I went to Scottville until 10th grade. So then I transferred over to Ludington.
Okay. So up until 10th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when you was there any, before we move over to Ludington, were there any teachers that you remember fondly over there that that you think about, or they still resonate in some of the stuff that you do today?
Probably Mr. Reed. I really loved him because he could bring some really good humor in with his education. So I had him as a 5th grade teacher.
Okay, so you did 5th grade teacher. Okay.
And I think a lot of things were going on at that age. I was starting to kind of notice, other kids and how, their lives might be a little bit different than mine.
Okay.
I noticed that I had friends and family and a really, secure life. But I started to notice that not everybody really had that. So
yeah, I think it was last week or the prior, where I was sharing a story about in 4th grade there was a young girl that she was basically a daughter of one of the migrant farmers that would go in, and so she started the year, and we talked a little. Her English was not great, but we were able to get out about, hey, welcome. It's like the usual stuff, especially in those small classes. Everyone's welcomed in. It's like, hey, new face, let's learn about you. And then she left.
Yeah.
But then she came back in the spring. Everyone's like, where'd you go? And she's like, and she explained, and this is where one of the first time where I really realized, to your point, that there's people that live differently and they have different experiences. She's like, yeah, my family, we have to take the trailer down to follow work.
Yeah.
And then we come back, and I'm like, my brain it took a while to process that. So, so yeah, around 5th grade you had that, and then so that may be an initial spark that you had. So when you got over to Ludington, what was that transfer like?
That transfer was a little crazy. I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
How so?
But I did learn that high school is high school everywhere. But I really went over to Ludington so that I could do gymnastics on their school team.
Okay.
And so that was another big, really important thing for me was gymnastics. I did that from the time I was 6 to 18. And I was just probably spending 20, 30 hours at the gym every week. So it was, really formative for me. If
you're just joining us, we're talking with Karalee Bradshaw from COVE here on Leading West Michigan. And we're just hearing about some gymnastics. So in what part of gymnastics was like your favorite part about that? Was that, obviously tumbling's a thing, but where was it? But where was that? Like, where did you like to want to focus your time at?
Everything. I liked it all.
Okay.
I liked it all. I wasn't good at it all, but I loved it all. But I really loved the time that I got to spend, with my coach, and she was definitely one of the biggest mentors in my life. But, and then also all the girls that you got to just hang out with. And I mean, there were a few little guys in there. But it really kind of gave me, but it really gave me an opportunity to kind of have some sisters in my life. So I really loved that.
Let's go back to that. That's interesting. You say that the coach, your coach was one of the biggest mentors you had. How so? Like, what do you mean by that? I
think she was just like another consistent person in my life. I had wonderful parents, and I have wonderful parents. But Coach Cheryl was just, she was always there, always encouraging, call me out when she needed to, and just really focus on kind of that teamwork, we help each other attitude.
That makes sense. And again, Coach Cheryl, thank you for the work that you did. That's again, coaches always have a special place in my heart. I was an average to below, an athlete.
Well, same.
Is what it is. But and we just recently lost Mr. Schoener. He was a baseball coach that we had over there before. And those who know, knew Ted. He was just he was the same no matter if you saw him at school, if he was coaching, you saw him out anywhere. And he had such a positive impact on so many people. So, that was one of the ones where we all just were like, okay, collectively, we're just like, man, we lost somebody there.
Yeah.
But again, the coaches have such an impact. So that's great. So you mentioned earlier, when you were 5th grade is when you started having these ideas like, man, something's different. And then going through high school, did that become part of what you want to do when you went to school? Or what was next steps for you after high school? What did that look like? Yeah,
so I think in school that definitely impacted me. I would definitely spend a lot of time being, how do I describe it? Like good friends with everybody. So I didn't really have a really close-knit group of friends, but I did have friends from every little, group, because I think I always kind of sought out people that might need a little extra help or a little extra love. And so that was really kind of the foundation of learning that gave back to me too, and thinking about how can I use the things that either I'm good at or I have. I used to want to bring my friends home all the time and ask my parents, like, can they come live with us? So that was really formative for me. And then, the classes that really impacted me were I took sociology and psychology with Miss Zimmerman. And she was phenomenal. She was really, I think she's part of the chamber now, but she...
Christy?
Yeah. She was such a phenomenal teacher, and that really opened my eyes to kind of social sciences. And I just remember I couldn't stop thinking about class when I would go there and I'd be like, wow. So, just like, why do people do what they do and what are social norms? And she just explained it in such a way that I was like, this is fascinating. So
yeah, I've heard that an awful lot about Kirsty. I wasn't my teacher or anything, but where she inspired a lot of individuals just by her presence in the classroom. But also I heard that she was firm but fair. Would it be a fair assessment?
Yeah, I would think so. I probably definitely got in trouble for talking in her class a lot because it was definitely what I would always do. But
well, it's in the name, social apology, right?
That was always the feedback from school. Always, good student talks too much. So
okay, so so when you're talking about this, again, sociology, you had there as far as understanding what made people basically what was driving them.
Yeah,
and I think you were one of the first people here I remember definitively when I was talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you were just like, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. Oh, I got one. Good, got it here.
There's someone who knows.
Yes. And I was actually talking with a client a little bit this week about Maslow's and about to basically help take a look at stress and different things that they can do. So we were using it as a checklist to go down there and say, hey, where are we at on these? And we were able to circle some, and it was very helpful. So for those of you who aren't aware, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, check it out. Just check
it out. You have to take care of your physical needs and primary needs before you can focus on anything else, right?
You don't have a core foundation, everything else doesn't happen. So with that, so when you went to college, where'd you go to college at?
I went to college, got my bachelor's at Spring Arbor University.
Okay.
And that's in Jackson, Michigan area. And then I got my master's degree in social work at Michigan State University.
Again, for those, just joining us again, we're continuing our conversation with Karalee Bradshaw from COVE, and we're just now getting into her college experience. So let's talk about the bachelor's. What was your bachelor's in?
Social work.
Social work. Mm-hmm. Now, was that you just showed up and said, I'm doing social work, or did you start with like a general studies and then dip your toe in, or was it just all in?
So, I think I started with general studies. My friends still to this day make fun of me that I made it through college without a 4-year plan because I am, I listened to like what requirements you had to have, but I never actually finished my 4-year plan. So, general studies. And then I think social work was just introduced to me through different kind of, human services classes. And I found somewhere that was really my niche because it was one of those things that, you grow up in a small town, fairly conservative. You're not introduced to a lot of different ways of thinking at times. So social work was really challenging for me because it tends to be a little bit more thoughtful about why people are the way they are and why they make the choices that they make and all that good stuff. So it was fascinating to me.
Yeah, empathy is one of those things you got to have in buckets in your work there. It's just, be able to walk a mile in other people's shoes and just be able to try to get that piece. So did you have any opportunities to volunteer during your time, during your bachelor's as far as to see if this is, I don't want to say work study, but also volunteer as well?
Yeah, so I did a few different things. I went to, we had a local homeless shelter, so the Interfaith Shelter in Jackson, and that was really eye-opening and wonderful for me to be able to go volunteer there. We'd sing or we'd give food. And then we also... I went to a community action agency, also spent time doing DHS kind of work with Child Protective Services and foster care. So lots of experience. There's lots of ways you can go in social work.
What is a community action agency, right? Is that what you said, agency? What's that do? What is that?
So essentially they just have a lot of grants to help people take care of their basic needs. So whether that's, I don't know, they're like the hub of a lot of resources for people. So
would they be hey, folks that either folks that come in or other agencies, they're able to, it's a connection, almost like, I want to say wholesale, but you know what I'm getting at here, where they come in saying, hey, someone comes in there's a need with this particular agency or this individual, and they're connecting those folks to the best.
Yeah, mostly individuals and families. Yep.
Okay, and families with those who need. So, and then of course with CPS, Child Protective Services, that again, we'll get more into that. May have been your first dabble, also going towards the work that you're currently doing as well too. And again, that is another one of those jobs and agencies that's out there with it's challenging work. Absolutely.
I can't imagine being a CPS worker. Yeah. I don't know that I could do it. Yeah. So I think that there's not enough resources to get done what you need to get done, but there's also so much bureaucracy and red line tape where even if you wanted to help in different ways, you can't. Just decisions that aren't really yours to make. So I think that would be really, really hard.
Yeah, you got to fall in line with a lot of those regulations. I had to deal with that a lot in the military during my first sergeant, where it was a lot of times with CPS and the different agencies. And having to go watching their faces. They had, very professional always, and making sure that they're first things first is the child health and safety of the child, but running the checklist. And then there were times when basically they didn't have any other reason to not let the child back, or other so again, rightfully so, government says, yep, we've done your part, this is what we say we have to do, and you have to hand them it. But you could see they were just like, I'm not ready to do this yet, but there's nothing saying I couldn't be able to do it. So.
Well, the interesting part now is it's kind of shifted a little bit in my mind about the work. Just, domestic violence have a lot of, survivors have a lot of experience with CPS that always doesn't necessarily end up in their favor, being even a victim of violence.
Yep.
So,
and it's a thankless position where some, they've got to do their job, and it's as these, again, they're there to protect and to, the best interest of the folks that need to be there. So you got a chance to volunteer and do some work in there. And then social work, somehow, some way you made it through your 4-year, and they handed you a piece of paper at the end.
Yeah.
And then you went on to, you said Michigan State for your master's?
Yeah. So that was actually the 4 years was the easy part. My master's degree was it was an advanced standing program. So I had to do my master's degree in 9 months, and that was just kind of pretty wild.
Okay.
So it was just, 9 months really of straight studying. And I did an internship there as well, in the DHS foster care area. And then I did also, home-based family counseling is what my internship was at.
Okay, so that home-based family counseling. So we're getting close to our first break here. So definitely want to come back and hear a little bit more about your time with your master's. That's always interesting to me when you have those compressed schedules that they have, but it's for a very good reason.
Yeah.
And it's, when folks first hear about them, it's like, wait, well, what about this? And it's like, no, it's meant to... You already have basically a foundation of what needs to be done.
Yeah.
But it's to really just sharpen and hone, basically, iron sharpens iron. It's got to be one of those things where they just hit you with everything, and it really, really refines your overall skill set. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and then, kind of what happened after that. So again, you've been listening to Leading West Michigan on 102.7 WMOM, at home on your Amazon Alexa or Google Home smart devices, streaming online at WMOM.FM, and live video streams on the 102.7 WMOM Facebook page and WMOM YouTube channel. Let's take our first break, and when we get back, we're going to spend a little bit more time hearing about your next level of schooling.
Cool.
Your heart is vital to your health. Corewell Health's Ludington Hospital has 3 board-certified cardiac specialists right here in Ludington at 7 Atkinson Drive, Suite 302. Talk to your doctor if you have concerns about your heart health. With local cardiology services now available, we make it convenient to get the care you need right here. To learn more or to schedule an appointment, call 231-291-8115.
Hey guys, it's Andy.
And I'm James.
And we're from Ludington Applebee's.
We're back to tell you what's new in the neighborhood this month. From now until September 17th, we are offering all-you-can-eat boneless wings and fries.
Yep, you heard that right. Any sauce, anytime, as many refills as you'd like for only $12.99. That's not the only great deal we have on the menu. Stop in on a Monday and enjoy any of our delicious burgers for $10.99.
Back-to-school activities are in the air. With all the constant running around this time of year, come see us after a long day of shopping or a quick lunch on the run to practice.
James, what else do we have going on this month?
I'm glad you asked, Andy, because we have something really important happening. We are helping raise donations for Alex's Lemonade Stand, a foundation centered around helping childhood cancer. Their mission is to fund research and also support families during their journey. When you donate $5 to their cause, you get a $5 gift card for the next time you come in.
So basically what you're saying is you get to help an awesome cause at little to no cost?
Yep, that's exactly the goal.
Come see us at Ludington Applebee's.
It's starting to be that time of the year again. Pencils and books, apples for the teacher, and new school clothes. But wait, there's still lots of summer weather left, and the Cedar Chest Consignment Shop has the clothes for summer and back to school and everything in between. We have beachwear, sunglasses for the hot summer days, and hoodies and jeans for when the sun goes down. Whatever you need, the Cedar Chest has it, and prices that are easy as the dog days of summer. So be sure to dress your best for less at the Cedar Chest in beautiful downtown Ludington.
Corey here from Lakeshore Automotive and Tire. Allergies are bad this year. Don't roll your windows down and inhale the awful pollen flying around. Turn on your vehicle's AC and feel the cold breeze coming through your vents. Don't think your car's AC is performing as it should? Call Lakeshore Automotive and Tire to get your AC recharged and the cabin vent filter changed. Since not only will the new cabin air filter improve the quality of the air inside your vehicle, but it will also significantly improve the airflow from your vehicle's heating and air conditioning system. Head to Lakeshore Automotive and Tire or call 231-425-3526. That's 231-425-3526. And get your vehicle's AC unit checked on any make or model vehicle.
It's another way to increase the awareness of your events and happenings. It's Mom's Fridge Magnets, presented by Watson Motors, West Michigan CMH, McGee Insurance, and Lakeshore Automotive and Tire. Another fridge magnet comes your way next.
Randy Sarnowski with McGee Insurance. You're a friendly neighborhood insurance agency. We specialize in customizing our policies for you, your family, and even your business. For over 80 years, we have been here serving you. Call us at 231-845-5000. McGee, the guarantee you can count.
Hi, this is Lori at West Michigan CMH. We are committed to partnering with and providing high-quality, individualized care for people dealing with mental health issues, intellectual and developmental disabilities, and substance abuse disorders. If you are ready to begin your journey towards wellness and recovery, call us today at 1-800-992-2061. That's 1-800-992-2061.
Visit Pentwater on Saturday, October 14th for Oktoberfest. We will celebrate the peak of colors and bring many fun activities to Pentwater. Oktoberfest events include the Classic Car and Hot Rod Show, Stout Stumble, 5K Walk and Run, Cove Home Tour, live music, seasonal beverages, yard games, and more. In addition to the fantastic activities, stroll through the town for fantastic sales and specials at the unique shops and restaurants. If your group or nonprofit organization has an announcement that you would like others to know about, reach out to us and we'll add it for free to the Fridge Magnet program thanks to Lakeshore Automotive and Tire, McGee Insurance, West Michigan, CMH, and Watson Motors.
It's Leading West Michigan, and we're back with your host, Ryan Howe, on 102.7 WMOM.
All right, welcome back. Again, we're continuing our conversation with Karalee Bradshaw of COVE. And, before the break, we had just gotten through your schooling, and we were heading into your started a quick conversation about your master's. So, again, we were talking about, hey, these shorter duration ones, it's 9 months, get in and go. Yeah. What was your experience as far as with the, how did that, did that help? Did it help you as far as, because you'd mentioned that you might not have, as far as your 4-year plan was a thing, right? What was that like, having to have that structured environment that you had to hit? Like,
it was actually really good for my ADHD because it was urgent and it was interesting to me. So that was fantastic. But I will say there are bonuses to going right into your master's degree after your bachelor's, and then there's, minuses. I think I would have learned a lot differently had I had some experience in the field. Okay. But getting through the educational piece, I was happy to get that done and over with. Okay,
so let me just real quick, and then we'll move on to where you started in your work here. So, and it's interesting because I've heard different sides of that too, where there's folks that they were concerned that their ability to stay in a study mode and education mode would fall off if they left. So knowing them, they wanted to just get through it. And I heard others to say, it would have been better if I had a little bit more context and texture to be able to then go back to on these things with some, a year of field work under my belt before I went onto this. And you're on the latter side of that. It'd have been.
Yeah, it would have been really interesting because social work is primarily all about ethics. And so that's what you train on, what you learn. And there are some things on the job that you won't know until you get there, because it really is a life of gray. Nothing is black and white, and decisions are not black and white. So it would have been interesting to put me back there now. I think
that makes a lot of sense. No, again, you're forced to fall back on your best judgment, and our best judgment in our 20s isn't this our best judgment in our 30s and 40s, et cetera. So no, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So, all right, so here you are, got your education.
Yep.
Where'd you land?
I landed back here in Ludington.
Okay.
So I started working at West Michigan Community Mental Health right here. I did Mason, Lake, and Oceana counties. My official title was mild to moderate mental health / substance abuse therapist.
Wow. How big was your business card?
It was a long title. Well, they shortened it to mild to moderate / substance use disorder therapist.
Okay. So what was so how well did school prepare you for that?
It was okay. There is nothing to compare to just, again, real world, real life situations that people are going through. And I think it was a good job because I was a young buck, and it was a 45-minute session with people once a week or every couple weeks. And so that was good. I do think people probably snowed me a little bit back then because I was younger and didn't quite know what I was doing. And therapy was, I got some responses like I was a good therapist, and some of it just didn't quite feel like home either. So. Okay.
But so I guess to go back to my question on that, whether you were prepared or not, because experience is the biggest thing when you're in that room, be able to vet people out and get that feeling where they're at. I guess maybe a better way to say my question is, did school provide you with a framework that you could ask questions to those with better experience to get their feedback?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say that.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's where I go to a lot of folks when I'm talking with, again, the young folks that are going to school. And it's like, listen, the college is really great. You're going to learn a lot, but it's really just so that you can communicate with the people who have the experience to be able to say those things. So that's great. And how was the staff there? Very helpful?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. I had a good supervisor. I had known him, Josh Snyder, since I was a little thing. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So how long were you there?
I was there for 2 years. And then after 2 years, I had been engaged, got married, and moved actually back to the Jackson area. So
okay. What took you back to Jackson?
Getting married, because that's where he lived and worked. And when I was there, I was a home-based family therapist again. Okay. So I got to kind of take on cases on my own at that point.
All right. And was that more where you wanted to be at? How did that?
Well, that was again, another job that I couldn't live my life now without, but that was hard because it was inner city Jackson. It was generations and generations of trauma, trying to teach people parenting skills when you're not a parent yourself, but the basics of, that kind of stuff. So it was very interesting, but you can't replace that crisis work. I learned how to solve problems and make decisions.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that'd be the thing with this too, because so much of your work now is, I know you guys have here's the checklist and we need to run these certain things, but you're also asked to make a lot of judgment calls.
A lot.
So when you go back, so what was your caseload like in Jackson?
Well, it was interesting because I was one of the people who would get all my hours in with clients, and so they'd give me more cases because they could trust me to make sure that I was getting all my hours in. So it was one of those things that it was overwhelming. I was doing probably the 40 hours of direct contact with people, but then you have 15 hours of paperwork I know
that drill.
It was just wild.
Yeah. So, we're continuing our conversation with Karalee Bradshaw of COVE, the executive director over there. And, there's something to be said though about volume.
Yeah.
As far as for, basically mastering skills. It's one of those things you have to be able to go through the repetition so you can start seeing patterns. And you mentioned it helps you now. Was there a point when you went, okay, all of a sudden, the paradigm shift for you, where you were okay, now when I'm coming into these situations, you can kind of see where things are heading, kind of get out in front of them. Do you remember when that kind of happened for you or what that was like?
Probably in my second or so year on that job, where you'd been through enough crisis, enough police calls, enough hours in the hospital and the ER with, psychiatric patients that you kind of knew it was going to happen. Okay. Yeah. So
you could just see that coming and then just take your steps there. And so with your work, was there any of your work, again, how much was referral that you had to have also? Things you're identifying, you got to deal with some of it, but I'm assuming there were some referrals also you had to have?
Yeah. So all the cases were referred to us from CMH, but then, honestly, the referrals were psychiatric visits, again, the hospital, contacting the hospital, the ER, CPS workers, those kind of referrals, because it was really some children that were really, really struggling with some severe mental health issues.
I gotcha. Yeah. And that's so challenging. So with this, we got about a minute and a half here. So I'd like to just ask, in this time where you're doing that, what was your way that you were able to step away and keep refreshed?
I didn't have that.
Okay. That's
I didn't do that, know, and I think that that's something that I've just learned in the last year or two.
Okay.
Is how to take care of myself as a social worker.
And that is one of the things that, I wanted to highlight, because I had a feeling, and it's one of those things you don't realize when you're younger. When you're going through this. And honestly, if we don't, and where you're at currently, looking out for your team, but if you don't have someone looking out for you, everyone's busy. We all have our lives going on. And that's one of the things where I go back to, like, listen, those of us who are in those supervisory leadership roles, we need to make sure we're keeping an eye down for the folks, for those, for our teams to be able to say, hey, listen, how are you doing? Are you scheduling time to be away? And if they're not, make them schedule that time just to say, hey, disconnect for a while, because we need to make sure that you are solid and you're ready to go. So that's great. So we're at the end of the next break here. So we get back, talk a little bit more about where your next transition was, and kind of go from there, which led us towards COVE. So again, you've been listening to Leading West Michigan on 102.7 WMOM, at home on your Amazon Alexa or Google Home smart devices, streaming online at WMOM.FM, and live video streams on the 102.7 WMOM Facebook page and WMOM YouTube channel. So let's take this next break and we'll get back to it.
Thank you.
Do you enjoy refunds on ATM withdrawal fees, building savings automatically, no monthly maintenance fees, and free digital banking? Well, Safe Harbor Credit Union offers a free checking account that pays 5% APY on balances up to $15,000. You can open your account within minutes. Innovative checking built on traditional values. Free Kasasa Cash rewards you for supporting your community. Some key features include high dividends, refunds on ATM withdrawal fees, no monthly maintenance fees, and no minimum balance requirements. To learn more, check out our website at safeharborcu.org or come visit us at our office at 5511 US 10. Member, owner, neighbor. Here, you're one and the same. Safe Harbor Credit Union.
It's Leading West Michigan, and we're back with your host, Ryan Howe, on 102.7 WMOM.
Well, welcome back. All right, welcome back. Again, we are continuing our conversation here with Karalee Bradshaw here with COVE. And again, before we left, it was we get into the importance of taking a break and just having those times. And you learned a lot. And one of those things that's, again, extremely important is, having someone looking out for you. Again, but you did your time, but also going through the repetition. So you did your time. You went through the repetitions for sure down in Jackson. What was next for you?
Well, let's see. So after home-based family therapy, I actually ended that job because I had gotten divorced. And so I ended up moving back to Ludington at that time.
All right. And what did Ludington look like for you at this point when you came back up here?
Oh, well, again, it's one of those situations where I was so lucky to have my parents and my family at that time. I was going through kind of the trauma of a divorce and the trauma of recognizing that, the marriage was fairly abusive and not something healthy and that was good for me. So I think when you separate yourself from that, it takes a lot of time to heal and everything like that. So I think I stayed home. My parents let me stay home for like 4 months or something before I got a job. And it was so interesting because I applied at CMH again. I was like, I'm for sure going to get that job. And, because I had worked there before, yada, yada. And now I had all this experience with kids and it was an outpatient therapist for kids. I'm like, man, I got that. And I didn't end up getting the job and I was devastated. They did hire internally, but at that point, I got a message from one of my buddies and he was just like, hey, COVE, the shelter, they need someone to work there. And I was like, okay. So I informally messaged one of the ladies that worked there and said, what positions do you have? They said legal advocate and client services director. And so that's I had no idea what that was. I had no idea what kind of interview I was even showing up to. And so that was something that was so cool because I really, a big part of my life is my faith. And I just really think that Jesus like totally led me there, opened that door, even though I had no idea what I was doing. So that was cool.
Now, I will tell you this much is that and again, I'm sorry you're devastated didn't work out, but I do have this thing where when it comes to work, and it's a little bit different, if you haven't been fired or rejected a couple times, you miss out on a very important, humbling thing that needs to occur.
Totally.
But also a perspective that comes in saying, you know what, maybe I'm not the right fit for everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, let me take a look at and what did I learn from that?
Yeah.
And that's an important piece. So, but again, absolutely shook you to your core. Like, oh man, what do you mean? But now, but other opportunities that are there for you. So how was that as far as, where did you land at?
So I landed at an interview where I didn't even realize, I was like, okay, so I have no legal skills. Is what I told them. I'm like, but I have my master's degree in social work. You guys are a shelter. I remember pulling up to COVE and being like, what is this place? Because this does not look like a shelter to me. And so I went back for my interview having no idea. And I got hired in as a supervisor there. And that was a challenging time too, to get hired in as a supervisor and never worked in the DV field before.
Okay.
And so I got a lot of flack from some of the people who had worked there for a long time, and you just have to dig in and kind of earn your spot there and learn what you need to learn to really ultimately came down to the survivors and how they were being treated.
All right. So I want to go back to that about sort of receiving flack. And I want to just make sure was it because they wanted to make sure that, they were very protective of everything that they were doing?
I think I came in and shook things up a little bit.
Okay.
And it was an interesting thing because they did have more experience with domestic violence survivors. But in my view, they weren't doing it I wasn't going to say an unethical way, just in a way that I think didn't represent what the movement in its entirety kind of represents, which is really independence, autonomy, making sure that people can make all of their own decisions and that they have the education to kind of move past and forward through abusive situations.
So basically is the greatest extent possible, making sure that your clients, in this case, that they have as much agency as possible to be able to make their decisions on where they're at.
And there's kind of an environment a little bit, and I'm not a little bit of maybe talking negatively about clients or not liking the decisions that they're making. And I had to kind of come in and step in and say, these aren't our lives. These are the decisions that they're making. And let's help them stay as safe as possible in the meantime and let them come back as many times as they need to without judgment so that they can really get the help and support that they need.
I mean, that makes sense. Again, being supportive of individuals that are, maybe the first time in a while that they're having to make decisions that they may or may not be accountable for, have that. So, and that's, if you haven't maybe had an opportunity to use that muscle, maybe atrophied a little bit, maybe a little practice to get it right or in a way there. So just be supportive and helpful. So you're there in a supervisor and you're saying you shake things up a little bit. What was your, again, growth throughout there from supervisor? What did it look like going forward to where, I guess, now you're executive director? What did that look like?
Yeah, so the growth was a really interesting story because I ended up kind of realizing through working at COVE, which so many of us do, it's actually kind of like a rite of passage, like how abusive and unhealthy my historical marriage was, right? So I think that once you really can put yourself in somebody else's shoes, like I've been through that. I went through those moments where I was terrified, scared for my life, and that you can really understand why people might make decisions that they make. And it really helped me. And I would say Amanda, she's kind of my sidekick, the current associate director. We really just went hard after philosophy and how we're going to do services. And it really, I made really good friends with our old executive director. I still miss her to this day. I'm like, where's Tracy so she can be the boss again? Tracy Davis.
Tracy Davis, okay.
Yeah, she was fantastic. And she really mentored me and like really allowed me to grow in that position where I could use some of my own creativity, make some decisions, and gave me some power and autonomy to make COVE what I thought it needed to be. So that was cool. So I went from legal advocate and client services director to associate director under Tracy. And then through the hiring process.
What's that timeline look like from kicking in the door to executive director?
It was 2 years before I became the associate director. And then it was a little more than a year for associate director. And I've been executive director for about 2.
Okay, great. No, so that's, and that's really where you want to, again, that makes sense also because you had, as far as the foundational piece there, social work in different areas. Again, the other spot that I've always find interesting too is that the experience experience that you have in work that is, I'm going to say lateral, might be, it's not necessarily, but for the most part, let's just say in that sphere, those lessons tend to help because you see things from a different angle than everybody else did because of your other work that you had.
Yeah.
Did you see a lot of that coming in also?
Absolutely. So when people are staying in shelter, they're often struggling with mental health and substance abuse. So I had that in my history and kind of like my little toolkit that I knew how to deal with that kind of crisis intervention.
Okay.
So that was really helpful.
No, that's great. And how are you doing on time, Ashley? Got 1 minute. Okay. So yeah, no, and again, that's been my experience. It's just that those individuals that I was just talking with someone yesterday on the phone about this. They were just asking about different jobs and concerns about moving between industries, and I'm like, don't knock it.
It's so translatable.
Yeah,
there's so many things you'll carry with you.
Yeah, absolutely, and as you move up, supervisor management, leadership. End of the day, especially in the services world, yes, there's some regulatory things you absolutely have to manage, and that's what the lawyers are for. Yeah. But beyond that, your ability to, again, make decisions. That the number of decisions you had to make in Jackson in your work, be able to assess a situation, I know has served you well as you moved in here. So, all right, so we're getting ready to head towards our final break.
Yeah.
And so when we get back, we're going to have some time to talk about, your team, other things that we have going on, what you have currently going on with COVE, and again, just interested to learn more about that. So again, you've been listening to Leading West Michigan on 102.7 WMOM at home on your Amazon Alexa or Google Home smart devices, streaming online at WMOM.FM, and live video streams on the 102.7 WMOM Facebook page and WMOM YouTube channel. So let's head into that next break, or the final break, and we'll hear more about what's going on at COVE.
Cool. Thank you.
Hey, this is Kim and Kelly from Sister Bees, and we have a big announcement that we can't wait to share with you.
We now offer Michigan-made specialty mead at the Sister Bees Boutique. What is mead? It's a beverage made of honey. It's fermented with yeast. It's often called honey wine. Once fermented, sweet fruit, grains, and other spices are often added.
In fact, mead could be the oldest drink in the world, enjoyed by the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon.
So buzz on into the Sister Bees Boutique. We're located right on South James Street, and we're open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
The store offers fun home decor, products crafted using the beeswax. We have local specialty gift boxes and free tasting of honey mustards, creamed honey, and more.
And once again, come check out our new mead selection. You don't have to be a royalty to enjoy this ancient beverage.
Sister Bees looks forward to seeing you soon.
Bow season begins soon, and gun season is just after that, and you need a few things before those seasons begin. If you're going to take down that trophy buck this year, Captain Chuck's 2 is the place to go for all your hunting supplies and accessories. Captain Chuck's carries all the brands like Matthews, Hoyt, Trophy Ridge, and Raven, in addition to targets and arrows as well as ammo. Stop into Captain Chuck's on the corner of Jabavi and US 10 in Ludington, or call 231-843-4458. That's 231-843-4458. Voted the best hunting and fishing store for miles around for a reason. Captain Chuck's 2 offers great prices and a staff that hunts and fishes. You can trust the advice and knowledge when it comes to your next adventure. Open from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 7 a.m. till noon on Sunday. Let Captain Chuck's 2 be your one-stop shop all year long. Did
Did you know there are risks when storing scrap metal? Scrap metal can cause theft on your property, creates a habitat for pests. You could lose money by gambling the value of its worth, and of course, you could run out of room from storing the metal. Oceana Auto will take scrap steel off your hands. Oceana Auto is the largest scrap steel and auto buyer in the area. From 20 pounds to 200,000 pounds, Oceana Auto is ready. Scale in, unload, scale out, and we pay you. Scrap prices change daily, and Oceana Auto works to give you the best deal. Call Oceana Auto today at 231-873-3500. That's 231-873-3500. Oceana Auto. Get hooked on us.
Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Hi, this is Carissa with Preferred Credit Union. Get pre-approved for your next auto loan and shop with confidence. We offer low monthly payments and 0 payments for 90 days. Visit preferredcu.org or call 231-843-3464. That's 231-843-3464 for more information. Federally insured by the NCUA and Equal Opportunity Lender.
Trusted, known, preferred credit union.
Mom's Fridge Magnets are community calendar announcements presented by Watson Motors, West Michigan, CMH, McGee Insurance, and Lakeshore Automotive and Tire. Another fridge magnet comes your way next.
Dan Bacon with McGee Insurance. All of our policies are a little different because every family is a little different. Your home or auto, life insurance, or even your own business, these set you apart from the rest. So let's build a policy that's just as unique as you. Call us today, 231-845-5000. McGee, the guarantee you can count on.
Did you know that West Michigan CMH has a veteran peer navigator to serve those who served our country? This is a free service and is available to any veteran in Lake, Mason, and Oceana County. We can provide peer mentoring, emotional support, help in obtaining military documentation, connect to medical, mental health, or substance use programs, and so much more. Call us today at 1-800-992-2061. That's 1-800-992-2061.
Join us Saturday, September 23rd from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday, September 24th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the annual Fall Fest Arts and Crafts Show. Artisans gather on the Village Green to showcase their products. Stop by and do some shopping. If your group or nonprofit organization has an announcement that you would like others to know about, reach out to us and we'll add it for free to the Fridge Magnet program thanks to Lakeshore Automotive and Tire, McGee Insurance, West Michigan, CMH, and Watson Motors.
It's Leading West Michigan, and we're back with your host, Ryan Howe, on 102.7 WMOM.
All right. So again, welcome back. I'm Ryan Howe, and we are on to our final segment with Karalee Bradshaw of Communities Overcoming Violent Encounters, or COVE. So with this is our last segment we have here. We got to. So I'd love to hear about your team. Let's see what you have. Share with your team what you have going on over there.
Oh my goodness, I have such a wonderful team. That's one of my favorite things to talk about. So Amanda Nasser, she's our associate director. She is just phenomenal. She is the nuts and bolts of COVE, and she has really helped me kind of make it what it is today. Sure. She's been really supportive in my leadership style and the way that I do things, which is kind of, not typical of a lot of, I don't know, when you think of professionals, directors, my style is a lot different. And she is very, very supportive of that. So I appreciate it. And she still, rocks it out with clients and will work shelter shifts and just take in everything that she needs to. So she's pretty awesome. I also have in the leadership team, Dee Dee Reno, she's our finance director, and Chelsea Hassey, who is our development director. And so she's really in charge of events and fundraising and PR and all that good stuff. She's pretty wonderful as well. Yeah,
we were talking during the break, and probably much every time. We just, again, Chelsea's the first person I met from COVE. Mm-hmm. It was at a Pentwater Chamber of Commerce event, and yeah, she's like, hey, I was like, yeah, I'll come out and come meet you guys and see what's going on and see what we can do to help. And it was a great introduction to be able to go there. So, good. Yeah. And, but yeah, we also talk, and again, Bethany works with you as well too.
Yes, yeah. Bethany Carrier. She's our sexual assault community advocate. Yeah. And she's way fun.
Yeah, way fun. And like I was saying, I went to school with her, with her kids, with Ian. So graduated with Ian, but yeah, it was great. That was a surprise. I ran into her at, Leeward Initiative.
Yeah,
Hey, Bethany, what's up?
Yes,
and
yes.
for me, I'd seen her. She still looks like Bethany, but I'm no longer 18. I'm I'm old guy now with a beard. So she was like, it took a second, but we got there. So, but no, it's great. And again, what Bethany's work too, as far as an advocate being out, is the going and meeting with all the agencies and stuff. Such an important position, also too. Couldn't ask for a better person to kind of do that too.
Absolutely, she has history working with law enforcement, and I think that that's really kind of taken us up a notch as far as collaboration and our vision of being able to be really good partners in the community.
Yeah, and as a whole, as I've stopped in and visited and just to check in with you guys and stuff, your entire team is so welcoming, and that perfect line of professionalism when you go in there, and understanding that, the shield that goes up when you're there and you're not on the team, and they're just the protection you can just see in their face and the interaction's fantastic.
Yeah,
so it's great.
yeah.
And in a good way. Not like anybody like, get out. It's just like, okay, why we're
I
here
understand.
Here's your little spot. You get to hang out.
Yes.
And we're taking care of everybody else over here, which is good. So so with that, this is let's talk about some of the initiatives you have going on here as well. So down in Pentwater, you have a tour going on or something?
Yeah, so October 8th, we have our Pentwater home tour, and that's an annual event, and it's so much fun to, it's my dream to be able to just go inside people's houses and look what it looks like. I stalk people, not stalk people, but houses on Zillow. You get to look at like the $1 million houses in Hamlin. And
we all do that.
Yeah, so it's way fun. So it's fun to go experience. And it's a relatively cheap event. I'm pretty sure it's $25. So,
Okay.
And they have 6 houses normally and that's all set up by Lynn Savassos, one of our former board presidents.
Okay, great. And again, your board that you have, it's an interesting mix of folks, and they're really dedicated. I've met a few of them, and they're all, again, very appreciative. Again, the work you do, it's challenging to fundraise for.
It really is.
And
it's not pretty work, and it's not work that people like to think about. So I think that it's very much so only easy to fundraise with people who've had personal experience.
Yeah, unfortunately, that tends to be the case when it comes. I mean, again, that unfortunately in your case, yes, but also that tends to be kind of the way they all go, though. You're gonna have certain causes that resonate with people for different reasons, and this is one where unfortunately that tends to be what resonates. But again, the work you do, though, it allows a lot of society really to continue to go on to, because you're here taking care of folks that in their time of greatest need, and to be able to help support them. So with that, there's something you have going 1,000 Strong. Or is that, if I messed that up, I apologize. So.
No, it's called 1,000 Strong, and that's a campaign that we have because we recognize that not everyone has thousands of dollars sitting around, just laying around in their bank accounts. But we wanted to let people know who have average salaries that they can make a huge difference here for us at COVE. And so the challenge for 1,000 Strong is to raise about give $10 a month, and something that's not really going to affect you. That's a trip to Starbucks. That's something that
it's a pumpkin spice latte.
less than a trip to Starbucks, right, honestly. But that would help create stability in our bank account to be able to pay our bills every month. You know, fundraising, we get big events and it goes up, and then we have months where it's like you're way in the hole. So
yeah, cash flow is king when it comes to running an organization. So and I actually signed up. It was when you came out. You came out to Rotary, and you gave a great. I got to introduce you, and you guys gave a great. You and Chelsea came and and Amelia gave a great talk.
Amelia, yes. Our mascot.
Yeah. Great talk again to explain that. But again, it was very easy to sign up. And, so really
little QR code.
And again, if folks want to sign up for this, they can go to COVE to the website. Is that something they can have there?
Yes.
So we'll give a chance to give that website out here in a second.
I would say mostly Facebook, actually.
Facebook? Okay, so
we're revamping our website right now, so I don't know what's on there.
Oh, so we want to go find basically the Facebook page for COVE right now. That's the important piece. Okay, good. We want to do that. So what about, and then you have a holiday party coming up. There's party planning going on.
There's party planning going on. We're so excited. This year's theme is the 1950s drive-in, and so all of us, girls went and got our little poodle skirts, and we're all excited. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be at Styx. It's on November 9th. And, we're going to give away some holiday packages. Well, it's not a giveaway technically, but, you buy a golden ticket and you have the chance to win a holiday that's going to be superb.
Oh, that's great.
So
yeah,
we're excited.
I'm old enough to remember a drive-in in this area. So, but the dippity-doo and the other stuff was before my time for having the hair back all like that. So I don't even know if I have enough to be able to do anything with it. But so with this, and is this holiday party one of your largest fundraisers for the year?
Yeah, it's really our central one, and it's the one that provides the most, impact for us. And so we're really looking forward to that.
Okay. And then I want to real quick about your funding, though. Can you give me like a minute and a half, like on your funding that you have from the government agencies? What that looks like, and why the fundraising you do is so important?
Yeah, the fundraising we do that is so important is because the Victims of Crime Act fund, which funds all of the shelters in our state, has virtually depleted itself. And so the Victims of Crime Act, again, it's right now it's 70% of our grant funds comes from that fund. Well, they're saying last year they said there was going to be a 35% cut. The governor stepped in, gave us $30 million, and that held us maintained. So there was no more money, but we didn't lose money this past year. So we're lucky with that. I'm going to write up a follow-up letter in the Ludington Daily News here coming out soon. But with all that being said, I just got an email from the National Network to End Domestic and Sexual Violence, and it's a 40% cut coming this next year. It's restitution based, so that's really why we need to get in the budgets of both the federal and state governments as a line item.
Got it. Okay, and again, that's so important. So if people want to be able to help, what they can do. What are their avenues?
Yeah, we love volunteers. We have some amazing volunteers at COVE. We have people who will work directly with clients. And if you work directly with clients, you have to have a 40-hour training. Or if you want to do like event work and things like that, then you don't have to have as much training. But we love our volunteers. And then just donations are always helpful. So in-kind donations, we always need like hygiene items and things for basic living for people who are living in shelter.
Yeah, I know Rotary, and we're getting ready to wrap up here. I know Rotary, we send food over.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we love that.
After our lunches that we have at Rotary, if we have anything, and again, whatever we happen to have left over, we send over as well. So it's great. So, but again, so that's about all the time we have for today, Karalee. This has been really great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
The work you and your team do at COVE is so very important, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here.
Yeah.
It's just, again, the work you do, it's under the radar, but it's so very important. So thank you very much for everything you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. So again, I'm always looking for new leaders to have on this program and give them an opportunity to share their stories. I'm interested in leaders in every aspect of the community. So if you know a leader making an impact, go to summitbusinessguides.com/leadingwestmichigan and submit their name for consideration. And if you would like to learn more about what I do to help organizations, businesses, with their work, visit summitbusinessguides.com. You can follow me, Summit Business Guides, on Facebook. Send me a note at ryan@summitbusinessguides.com. So join us next week when I'll be talking with Melissa Furing to learn more about her journey to become a West Michigan leader.
You've been listening to Leading West Michigan with Ryan Howe, a weekly program where you hear success